I'm Tom Christopherson. I'm a solicitor and art lawyer. I've been working with Sotheby's and Bonhams and others for about 20 years. And I'm here to give you a couple of thoughts on contracts and fees and commissions for when you're thinking about entering into an arrangement with a gallery to sell your works of art. I know that there's a common reluctance amongst artists to address these sort of issues. It's quite understandable. It's much more interesting dealing with the creative process and the creation of the art itself, but I would recommend that you don't leave everything else in the lap of the gods. There are lots of reasons, and we'll touch on some of them now, on why you should think about some sort of formal contract with a gallery or galleries who are looking to sell your work. And the first reason is that it just provides a degree of clarity and certainty about a range of issues. And that's not just because you've written them down on a bit of paper, although that's a key part of it. It's part of the process of getting to write what you write on your bit of paper, and how you write it and the format. Don't worry too much about that. The important thing is thinking about what do you want from your relationship with your gallery, what do you want to happen to your works of art, how much control do you want over the process, how much money you're going to be paid, and matters like that. And if you go through this process of drawing up a contract, you're more likely to have thought through the issues and identified some of the misunderstandings that commonly happen. The process for making a contract, therefore, is two things. It creates a document that helps you in the future, and remember that relationships change, your career will develop. Hopefully the values of your art will increase over years, and that gives rise to new issues and new directions. And a contract gives you a basis for where you are now and hopefully where you'll be going in the future. There are various issues which you should think about when entering into a relationship with a gallery. We'll come to fees in a minute. That's obviously really important. But that's not all of it. There are other issues such as the amount of control you have over what happens to your artwork. And if there's a key message, it's don't assume anything. Don't assume that you'll be paid in a certain way, a certain amount at a certain time. Don't assume what you would like to happen to your work of art is what's going to happen to it. It's worth sitting down, thinking through how you would like that relationship to work, both today and going forward. And there are various issues you might think about. The first one is, do you want to work with one gallery or more than one gallery? The traditional model, particularly at the beginning of a career, would be that the artist has an exclusive relationship with one gallery. That's less common now, and more galleries, Sadie Coles as an example, are quite happy to enter into joint or non-exclusive relationships. There may be other issues as your market begins to develop. What about secondary sales? So the people who have originally bought your works of art, would you like a say, if you can get it, as to how they resell them? So let's move on to commissions and fees. And commissions is an awkward word because it actually means two things in this context. It means commissions as in possibly a client commissioning you to provide for them, to produce for them a bit of work, and it means the commission, the financial commission that you might be paying to the gallery. If you have a client who wishes to commission work from you, obviously, that's quite a complex relationship in itself. I would absolutely recommend you have a form of contract for that. I'm afraid has been quite a long history of commissioning arrangements that have gone astray when the artist and the buying member of the public have not, if you like, come to a clear agreement in their own minds with their misunderstandings as to what's to be produced, when, how, and for how much. So that's a sort of separate but very important topic. The last point on that bit, though, is how much have you given your gallery the right to agree commissioning agreements with third parties? I would suggest you should not give your gallery the opportunity to commit you to give commissions. If I were you, would keep control of that yourself. Now, to financial commissions, how much are you going to be paid for the work that you have produced? Obviously fundamental. And the first thing to remember is that from a legal perspective, there are two completely different types of transaction. One is where you have produced your works of art and you sell them to a gallery. In that case, the gallery agrees a price with you, they pay you the price, you give them the works of art, and then they resell them to somebody else. The other approach, probably more common, is when you commission a gallery, or you allow a gallery, you authorize a gallery to sell the works of art for you. And that's usually what's meant when you hear galleries say they represent an artist. Ultimately, if a gallery is representing you and selling art for you, then you need to be very clear what is being done with your art in your name, and when will you be paid and how will you be paid. All boils down to that. So the question is, I've been saying you must have a contract. What does this mean? Well, at the basic level, there are different levels. The first thing to remember is you may have a contract whether you realise it or not, because under English law, and other laws are pretty similar, you don't need to have written anything down for a contract. I can agree something with you verbally right now, as long as we're clear about what we've agreed and that one of us is giving something in return for something back from the other. If you do that under English law, that is a contract. If you want to draw up a more formal contract, there are different levels of doing it. It doesn't necessarily mean going to a very expensive art lawyer, although there are several excellent art lawyers you could go to. I would start off with a trawl through the internet. There are places that will give you free advice, template forms, things that you can at least use to focus your mind on the sort of issues we've been talking about. Canvas Art Law, which is a very small boutique firm of actually 3 art lawyers. I happen to be one of them. And we are set up to provide low-cost advice to artists setting out on their careers. There is an advice line there where you can email info@canvas.art, and if you have any questions, we can try and help you there.